right, good morning. This is Dave Mastis from AmericanVeteranBusiness.com and our podcast where we shine a spotlight on the remarkable journeys of veteran entrepreneurs who've taken the skills and discipline honed in the military and applied them to the business world. Again, I'm your host, Dave Mastis, founder of AmericanVeteranBusiness.com, and joining me today is going to be Kenneth VanHouten. He's with Bravo 4 Financial. And together we're here to explore his stories and what he's done so far. So whether you're a veteran thinking about starting your own business or simply inspired by stories and success, this podcast is for you. So we're going to jump right in. Good morning, Ken. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, good to see you. So really quick, tell me, which city are you in right now?
I am in Rensselaer, Indiana, which is like in the northwest part of the state.
Okay, right on. And the name of your business is?
Bravo 4 Financial.
Right on. All right. So we'll dig a little bit more into your overall business. But first, let's, go into your background and so that people get to know you a little bit more. So where'd you grow up?
I grew up in the southern part of Indiana, a little town called Newburgh, right outside of Evansville.
Okay. Oh, right on. I had a friend that was uh stationed with me, and he was based out of Evansville. So I visited him once there, about 2005. But small town, good people. It's good
Yeah,
country.
yeah, for sure. Get all four seasons. It's a nice place to grow up.
Yep, absolutely. So tell me a little bit more about your family. How do they support you in your business right now?
So I'm the youngest of, I have two older sisters. I'm the youngest of three. Um, and I think, to be honest with you, I mean, it's just kind of, I'm an independent. I also own another couple businesses, a restaurant and a distillery. And just as an entrepreneur in general, um, there's pros and cons to it. So support is definitely a must. My wife, ups and downs, stressful times, happy times, successes, failures, challenges, has always stood by me. So I think that in general, and my kids, too, do a good job of kind of understanding. Sometimes when you're an entrepreneur, it's not always the typical 8 to 5. So you got to just do what you got to do.
When did you start in the military, and what did you do?
So I joined in June of 2005, started off in the 18 X-ray program. I thought it would be really cool to kind of go straight into the special forces community. I quickly learned as I was going in that it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of hard work. So did not make it through the Q course. Had my couple failures on some ruck runs. And so then but I did have a couple cool things that happened to me out of that contract. So right out of basic training in AIT, I got to go to jump school, airborne school. So I got that under my belt before I went off to Fort Bragg. And then after I got dropped out of the Q course, I was stationed out in Schofield Barracks, Hawaii. But because of those couple experiences, I had the opportunity to try out for the scout platoon while I was there, and was fortunate enough that I kind of made the grade. And so I didn't have the typical 11 Bravo military life, I guess. I got the blessings of getting straight into a good unit and a good platoon where pretty much everyone was Ranger or Sniper qualified. So we had a lot of out of sight, out of mind, just do what you're supposed to do. And life was easier for us than the typical 11 Bravo. I'll give it that.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think especially coming from the 18 X-ray program, because I'm retired special forces as well, I think that you got a taste of a different sort of life in the military. And I'm just saying even things like putting your hands in your pockets, and that stuff,
Sure.
you could probably get away with that a little bit more. The great thing is out of the 18 X-ray program, even those that don't make it, you volunteered to do it. So, I mean, you have the uh, courage to step up and go after something. And sometimes things just don't work out for people. It just happens. But you still can do great things, which apparently you did, in the military as well. Um, so if you had to say, that the military shaped your business career, how would you say that's helped you out?
Oh man, I got goosebumps when you just said that. The first couple of things that come to mind is definitely work ethic. I mean, you touched on it. And you do have to find the balance, right? You have to, the way I phrase it and phrase it to my wife is, I can't always be the best version of every role. I have to play at the same time, right? I can't always be like a good father, a good husband, a good business owner, a good boss, and good to myself at the same time. And it's wonderful when you can wear like a couple of those hats at the same time. But sometimes, when you're cutting the grass, you're just being a good homeowner, but you're not playing ball with your kids. So balancing that for sure, but work ethic. And then I'll say too, just challenges. You know, I cannot recall too many situations in my experience in the military where just not getting the job done was an option, right? So it was more of a left and right limit, be creative and figure out a way, within those limits to kind of get the job done. And sometimes that was a little easier, sometimes it was more challenging, but I think that's definitely a skill set. And I don't think it's a talent, something you're born with. I think it's something that you work at and kind of an iron sharpens iron type of thing. So I would say those are my top two answers is work ethic and kind of coincides just with being able to overcome challenges and sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's not fun, but either way, you got to make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of people ask me, why do I work so much? And I do it only because, for me, I want to make sure my clients are successful. So, I mean, I have a hard time sometimes just going to bed because I'm looking at my stats, going, they didn't get enough business today. They're, not getting enough. So I end up working a lot more than I want to. So let's jump right in. Bravo for Financials, your business. How did you get started in that?
So, truth be told, when I got out of the service in 2013, my brother-in-law was working for a major company that was doing a lot of like Medicare supplements and insurance and a little bit of financial. So I started with him. I did well at it, but after a year, direct sales and door knocking, door to door, and everything was just kind of not for me. Great company, just not for me. So I went over to the financial side. Slowly kind of worked my way up with a regional firm and then a national firm. And I loved being able to work with clients and help them. But what I found with that, the larger it went, is yeah, we had more resources and things, from a marketing perspective. However, it also wasn't really a situation that allowed us to really truly tailor advice or help individuals. It was more kind of geared for the masses. So I went independent about a little over a year ago. I went independent. My broker dealer is through LPL Financial. So we've got tremendous, actually, I'll be honest with you, I have probably more back end resources than I did at the larger firm, but their business structure is a little bit different. They support more independent, like credit union banks, independent advisors. And then after a year of kind of going through that process of being independent, being on my own, I really just felt something calling me to connect those chapters of my life, right? My military career and where I'm at now. And kind of looking back, the biggest thing that drove me is it's kind of the same reason I left the major firm. The military, not by intention, but kind of by default, sets a lot of people up for financial failure, right? Because you may not quote unquote make a lot of money, but when you come in, if you're utilizing the system the way it is, you also don't have a lot of expenses. So you start to develop this lifestyle of not having your cost of living, not having your bills, not, your bills may be a car payment and a cell phone, right? So you're going out and you're spending tons of money on tattoos or video games or drinking or whatever it is, or maybe even getting an $800-900 a month truck payment. And then when you separate from the service, you have a rude awakening of what that transition looks like. And sometimes I think even some people find themselves in situations that takes them some time to recover from financially. So this was a way. I'm a certified financial planner. I am a chartered financial consultant. I have I have a graduate certificate in accounting. So this is kind of a way for me to continue to help people in the right capacities. And I'll be honest with you, from my smallest clients to my biggest clients, I think a lot of what I do is actually coaching and mentoring, right? And because the resources out there to have a good investment portfolio, they're broadly available, right? And it's kind of a put good in, get good out. So you can use an advisor or you can do the work yourself. you don't need an advisor to necessarily make good choices with investments. But that's kind of where I'm at now, is getting to the point where I can work with people and meet them where they're at, and whether that's coaching or whether that's investment advice or business valuation, whatever it may be. I'm grateful for opportunities like this and what you're doing too to help, because I think there's a lot of veterans out there that for one reason or another, maybe it's the same principles were talked upon, that become entrepreneurs, right? And I
Absolutely.
awesome. I think that's awesome, because I think that's a demographic subset of our country that has a lot of intangibles that you need. So
Yeah.
I think it's great, but also I know that that means for a lot of us, that's learn as you go. So having people like you, your marketing services, an advisor, someone that's either gone through it themselves or has some expertise, will hopefully be valuable to that community.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I always look at it like when I first retired and I first started my own businesses, it's a steep learning curve. There's nobody that's coaching you and showing you things. And I'll, I got started in marketing, especially because, I started a t-shirt company and I found that it was super expensive to hire somebody and I wasn't seeing results. And so I wanted to do something to change that. But, I don't want to talk about my stuff as much. So, but what you touched on previously is very important. And I'll tell you why. When I got in, I started the TSP, the military's TSP. I just started it and I started oh, I forgot what the heck it was. Another sort of program that also saved money too. But I forgot about the TSP. I just let it keep on going every single month until I retired. And so when I retired, I had a little chunk of change that helped me, get started in business. But at the same time, it wasn't a whole lot. It just helped me to get started in business and survive. Business can take a long time to really get going and make it extremely profitable. So I wish I would have invested a whole lot more. And something that I found is that, and it wasn't until later on in the military, as I was talking to especially captains and majors about, investing in they would talk about things like how they were briefed earlier in their career. And I don't want to say specifically they got briefed in the academies and things like that, but I'm kind of thinking that they did. Somebody went in there and said, hey, listen, you have to invest if you're going to stay in the military. This is the best way to structure it, because all these officers, as we're sitting around just talking, we're talking about their investments. And I was like, how do these guys know all this stuff, And basically, they kind of alluded to that, they got coached on getting set up to do it. So I think that, especially on the enlisted side, it is something that they should be taught a little bit more. Of course, because maybe they don't make as much money, it's a little bit more difficult for them to invest. Um, but of course, as you know, every little bit counts. But
Well,
yeah,
it's been over a decade since I got out now, but I'll tell you, I have some friends from high school that didn't serve, and some friends from college that didn't serve. That when I got out, I almost felt like there were times where I mean, just to be honest, there were times where I regretted my decision to serve, because since I didn't stay in for a life, I mean, as it pertains to my career, not as it pertains to my service, but
yep,
there were times when I got out that I felt like I was really behind my peers, like how, at least, I was biased obviously because it was my situation, but I thought like, man, this is kind of messed up. I've done a couple tours, and I've done everything I'm supposed to do. I've worked my butt off while I'm in the military, and now I get out, and as an 11 Bravo, I mean, I have the intangibles, I have some skill sets, right? But I mean, I'm not walking into any engineering positions or things. I don't necessarily have a transferable skill as defined by corporate America. And so I know there's a lot of military and veterans that find themselves in that situation where when you make that transition, and even if you do put in a career, right? I mean, you might be in your late 30s, early 40s, mid 40s when you do that. So a lot of them that I've found is, even if it's not a financial need, it's a personal need, right? You're not ready to sit around on your butt when you're 45 if you spent 20 plus years in the military.
yep,
Um, So, that you have to seek out the resources that are out there and people that have done it before you, which is really kind of the same principle of the military, right? I mean, you get some of the training that you need, but the most influential people that I have had are those that I served with that kind of walked before me and had the experience, not necessarily, the drill sergeants or things. Not that they weren't good. I'm just saying that, the influence came from the experience and the leadership along the way. And that's kind of that cycle of gaining and passing that on and gaining and passing that on. So that's what I'm trying
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah, and as I generally encourage everybody now, you've got to talk to a financial advisor like you, at some point. Maybe you don't have any money at all, but at least you know how to get on the path to get to where you need to be. And then especially, like Ken, veteran, uh, obviously trusted and knowledgeable in what you're doing. I mean, it's very valuable for them to connect with someone like you. So tell me then, what's next for you? Do you have any future goals or plans for your business?
Um, yeah, well, I will say this, I have never accurately predicted any period of my life, so I can always look back, I mean, even a year or two ago and say, this is where you'll be, and say, yeah, I could see that. So, but loosely, I mean, I want to continue to grow. My intentions with Bravo 4 Financial is not to become the next major firm, that's sponsoring the Super Bowl or anything like that. But like I said, there are a lot of resources out there that even if it's not on the financial side, my intent with Bravo 4 Financial, not would be coming like encompassing to where we come broad and do everything, but even I think that there's a lot of kind of financial or just general like coaching that can go along, like kind of like life coaching, right? That you mentioned your partner.
Yep.
So my intent is to kind of just keep going day by day and see what the needs are of the community. I mean, I think I have a projected idea of where things will go. But at the end of the day, I made this transition to kind of give back to the community that's given to me so much that I was part of, and we'll kind of see where that goes. So, I'm open to working with units like you talked about and going in and giving education, pro bono, speaking, things like that, that maybe the enlisted community didn't see as much, or using the tools like this virtually to do it. Also working with people, whether that's portfolio advice or just a stock tip or being able to use the resources I have to do some research for you. Hey, can you give me some feedback on this company? And then even on the financial side, it's a lot of small nuances, right? So whether you're a business owner or you're just trying to get out of debt, it's not doing it illegally, but it's understanding organizations like the IRS and everything. They publish stuff, but they're not going to broadcast, the good parts of that. So we'll just kind of see where it goes. But the idea is achievable growth and kind of just listen to the needs of the community.
Right on. Yeah, thank you very much for that. So as we wrap up today's episode, I just want to extend a heartfelt thank you to you, Ken VanHouten. You're sharing your incredible journey with us, and it's always inspiring to hear how veterans are applying lessons learned in the service and building something meaningful in the civilian world. So I'm Dave Mastis. Thank you for joining us. If you found value in today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, share it with others who might benefit from these stories. And so until next time, keep pushing forward and continue self-development. And remember that your experience is your greatest asset.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me.
All right, this is Dave Mastis from AmericanVeteranBusiness.com. And this is our podcast, and we're glad that you came today. If you could do us a huge favor and smash that like button, share us, make some comments. It's going to help us to, help that algorithm, which will help other veteran businesses as well. So please help us out, and we look forward to seeing you next time.